Hi, I want to talk today about SEO. I want to give you a few things that are very tangible SEO pieces that you can make sure is set up right on your website, and this should help improve your SEO. So the first one is your page URL. So not your main page, because your main page is probably your company name.com or something like that. But on your pages, like when you link in the navigation at the top to a particular page, so if it's an insurance agency and you go to auto insurance page, that page title, the www.yourcompanyname.com/ should be relevant and should be a keyword for, in this case, auto insurance. So it could say car-insurance, dash your state even, or your target market, but at least car-insurance, auto-insurance, that kind of thing. So it should be separated by dashes. So if there's more than one word in the keyword / phrase, then it should be separated by hyphens. So make sure you can do this now. You can go to all your pages on your website, click on the navigation to get there, and look at the URL. Is the URL relevant to the keyword for the page that it's discussing? And if it's more than one word, is it separated by hyphens? So that's trick number one. The second thing is the title of your page. When you look at the tab on your website for the page that you're on, at the top it will have the title, and sometimes you have to hover over it to see the whole title because the tab may be kind of small and the title may be longer, but it'll have the title of that page. Again, just like before with the page URL, the title needs to be relevant in terms of a keyword that's appropriate for that page. So back to auto insurance, then the title of that page should probably be something like auto insurance, your state, your city, that kind of thing. Car insurance, whatever you like there, whatever you think's a better search phrase for the people in your area. So the second thing there is page title. The next thing is page description. Page description, you're not going to see on the page like you would the other two things we talked about, but the person that's building your website behind the scenes, they can put in a page description, and I'll tell you where that shows up. Let's say you search for your business on Google and you see it come up here as a listing with other people maybe, and below it, it'll have your business name, probably the URL right below that, and then under that it'll have a short description of your business or what you're offering or your service or your products, and that is the description. That's what shows up, and every page is going to have its unique description, so it's important that every page have an appropriate description. Again, going back to the keywords, so we make sure everything lines up very consistently. Your main page has probably got one or two, it's got one major keyword. Every page should have one major keyword, keyword or phrase. So it could be cheap car insurance, quality workers' comp insurance, something, or it could just be workers' comp insurance, or it could be workers' comp insurance, your state. The page description, you'll know what that is by Googling your business name, or, now I'm not talking about typing in www, literally, your website address. I'm talking about doing a Google search to where you see your name come up with others. And by the way, look at the others too and see what they've got to see if that can give you some ideas on maybe some improvements that you might need on your page description. So that's page description. The next thing we'll talk about is page content. I'll keep this kind of simple. You want quality content, you want authentic content. You would like to have at least, and this is debatable some, but at least 500 words on that page, maybe up to 1,000 words on that page. 500 words sometimes is hard to get to, but it needs to be information that's relevant to that page. Again, utilizing some keywords in that content. And that's the next thing I'll mention, kind of roll this into one, is keyword density. every page, so back to car insurance or auto insurance, on that page, you would need a keyword density to be between 3 to 5% maybe, so, or 2 to 5%. So if you have 100 words, you need the keyword part of that 100 words at least twice, right, for 2%, up to 5%. Now, there's a risk that you run if you try to say, well, if a little is good, more is better. Not always. So, one glass of wine is good for you to make you live longer, they say. So you might think, well, 10 glasses of wine a day is really awesome. So I think there's that sweet spot, that would be just right. So 2 to 5% is what most people say is the right keyword density for that page, that particular page. So all you have to do there is pull up your pages, see if they all have 500 words. I think you may know how to do this. If you want to make sure that you have the right words, maybe copy and paste that content into Word or something that would give you a count at the very bottom of how many words there are. Your web designer could tell you probably, but if you're just looking at your site and want to know, that'd be one way. And then find your keywords, and for every 100 words, it'd be like your keywords being in there 2 to 5 times. So the next thing we'll talk about are heading tags. Heading tags, from an HTML standpoint, they call them H1, H2, H3. H1 is a big, bold heading. H2 a little smaller, H3 a little smaller. Most people say that on the average page, you kind of need, if you've got enough content so it doesn't look wrong. At the end of the day, this needs to look right. So you can't just stuff this stuff together to make the formula work if it doesn't look right. But so you'd like normally an H1, H2, and an H3, big, little, small, bold heading. And ideally, the keyword is in each, is bolded, is got the right heading on it a few times. I said all that a little goofy, but you know what I mean. The next thing we'll talk about would be images. So if you have images on your page, you can right click and view source, or inspect the element depending on what browser you're using. But you can right click and you can look and see what the alt tag is. So an image that you put on a website may have some kind of goofy name for that image that doesn't really make sense to the page, and certainly may not make sense or help you in terms of keywords. So if you're going to put a picture on a auto insurance page and it's a picture of an automobile, then the alt tag should say something auto insurance, for your state or your target market. So it doesn't just need to say auto image. That doesn't help you on the SEO. So make sure that all the images have alt tags and that they're appropriate for the image and for the page. The last thing I'll talk about are links. So I'll talk about links in 3 ways, about 3 different things to do with the links. The first thing I'll talk about is if you have a link that goes to someone else's website, it's going off of your website completely to another URL, you can put in a do not follow. And what that does, or you can't do it, unless you're building your website, but the person building your site, managing your site, can put in a do not follow to those external links. And what that will do is when the Google spiders crawl your website to analyze it, to decide how far up you're going to rank, when the Google spiders analyze your website, if it's got a do not follow, they won't go out and evaluate that as part of your website. You don't want that. You want them evaluating your website, not the website you're linking to. So otherwise, Google really doesn't know that's not just part of your site, So do a do not follow for links that go off your site. Second thing about links is it is a good idea to put links in every page, if you can, that makes sense to link to something else on your site. And that's pretty easy when you start kind of rounding this thing out and you've got an auto insurance page and somewhere in there and you're talking about that's pretty easy to do when you start rounding everything together, because on your auto insurance page, maybe you mentioned something about other lines of coverage that you you offer. And you might mention in your conversation that when you bundle this with homeowners insurance, you get a discount. Well, when you do the homeowners insurance, you link to your homeowners page. And then your homeowners, you're doing the same thing, linking back to your auto. That has value. Google likes to see the linking going on inside of your own website. So make sure the second thing there is add links that kind of help the experience for the person visiting your website maneuver around your total site. And then the third thing would be backlinks, links that come from other sites to your site. Now, it needs to be a credible, valuable site. So what you don't want to do is subscribe to a service that'll put 1,000 or 1,000,000 links on from other websites that you don't even know back to your website, because Google's too smart for that. They'll know that that's all you're doing. You're trying to game the system. But if you go to your local businesses that you want to partner with, and maybe you have a partner page that you'll link to them and then they can link back to you, then that adds value. It's slow, but it'll add value over time. And it's better to do it slow anyway. Most people say you don't want to go out and have 1,000 exist one day, because again, Google's too smart. They know you're trying to play that. So another way you could do it as an insurance agency is make sure all your carriers that you're working with, that you're representing, that you're partnering with, make sure that you probably have them on a link to them on your website. Maybe you do that, maybe you don't. Maybe there's some reasons you don't want to do that. But if you'd like them to have you listed on their website, so if they have an area on their website where they list their agents that represent them, make sure you're not left out. And make sure they don't just have your name, make sure they also have your URL back to your website. So that's it. That's a good bit of information. I hope that's helpful. The things I like, what I like about that kind of thing is that it's very checklisty. So you can go down this checklist and you can just make sure these things are set up right on your website. And ask be like kind of like a doctor or somebody giving medical advice. Things change with SEO a lot. Things change with Google a lot. So check with the person building your website. If they feel differently about any of the things I've said, then kind of weigh that out and make your decision. But that's information that I've gathered over time, and I hope that's helpful to you. Thank you so much for watching my video.